Oh, I'd love to know from the Jimmies and the Joes two things, and feel free to write in Twitter, Instagram at 3TechPod, the YouTube comments as well. Would love to know two things. First of all, do you see the transfer portal as a net positive or a net negative in its current state? So, right now, spring window 2024, is it a net positive? Is it a net negative? The second question that I want to move into now, Garrett, what is your biggest worry as a fan every time the spring window rolls around, right? The spring window is very unique because in the fall, you've obviously got your recruiting class set. You can offset some of those losses with the high school recruits, with junior college guys or FCS guys. There's chances to be more flexible, right? In the spring window, you can be left high and dry very easily at the snap of a hat. And in case in point, Louisville is losing reportedly 4 to 5 offensive linemen, right? Pitt
Brutal.
is losing Devin Hayes, their best edge rusher, out of nowhere. You can be left with these gaping holes on your roster that then your staff is truly having to spin its wheels, maybe just to hit the scholarship limit. Make sure that you've got enough talented bodies out there to fill out that 85-man limit. Uh, I want to hear from you and the Jimmies and the Joes. Garrett, as a fan yourself, when you look at both your team and across the landscape, what comes to mind? What kind of keeps you awake at night, gives you the cold shivers when you think about the spring portal window?
Well, honestly, at this point, I was gonna say going into the show, well, I'm not really worried about the stars, right? Because they're gonna be in place. But now we're even looking at the stars having to be the guys that are being replaced at some point. So really, at this point, I think the thing that has to kind of keep you up and keep you nervous is the fact that your staff, whoever your football staff is, recruiting staff, player retention, whatever you want to put a tag on it, those guys have to be almost more aggressive during the spring, right? Because number one, you got to retain the guys that are on your roster, right? There might be guys who are in the competition phase. Maybe they haven't learned the system quite yet, but you know that they can get there. And so you have to make sure that you can continue to pitch them the vision, even in the middle of some tough practices and maybe some non ideal circumstances transitioning, but you also have to be, actively looking out there and keeping up with your big board, so to speak, to say like, hey, I'm kind of suspicious that this linebacker is going to transfer out or this corner isn't happy. And I got to make sure that I've got a guy on the other end that I can go in and get, right? I have to make sure that I can go get that guy to fill the need, or that I have like a list of guys that I could maybe reach out to if they're unhappy, and make sure that your player personnel people are on top of it, because like you're saying, you can get left high and dry very quickly with no real options, right? Because if you leave the spring transfer window without what you need, you might be just looking at, hey, let's put up the posters for, tryouts and stuff because we need another linebacker just for depth purposes or something like that. And you don't want to be in that situation, especially if you're a top end program competing. The other really big thing here is just making sure, I think in this this newest version of the portal, it really just is coming to a point where, and we've said this for a couple years now, donors are going to quit shelling out the cash for stuff, right? At some point in
Sure.
time, 7-5, 8-4 ain't going to get you $10 million in NIL funds, right? That's not going to get you what it did at the very beginning, because, the donors are going to be a little bit fed up with this, right? And so they're going to say like, hey, what am I actually getting for my money? And, I think that we're at that point now where we're starting to see that a little bit where, and again, I think this is where some of the stars leaving plays in. Why would you dish out, for example, if you're Penn State and, you're wide receiver one walking out the door, some of the Penn State, guys are sitting there like, hey, like we keep putting in a bunch of money into this program and we can't even win a bowl game. We can't get on top and actually finish the season strong. We feel like we should be at this level in the Big Ten. We're constantly underachieving.
Hmm.
They're not a bad program by any means. Like, and I'm using Penn State for a reason. Penn State's a good program with a good football team, and you can succeed there. But even at Penn State, you have to wonder if there's some behind the scenes stuff going on where like the donors aren't happy and they're not able to keep getting the guys that they're getting. And so I think, it's an unfortunate thing. It's an unfortunate thing that we're here. I think to the first question, do you think what it is in its current iteration is good? I would say no, because it needs to find its balance, right? It needs to be able to find the balance where, you know, you can keep up with the rest of the schools. There's a somewhat competitive playing field, when it comes to the portal, when it comes to NIL. As it is right now, it's just not there.
Yeah, I think my biggest worry, and I saw this play out on Twitter earlier today. I was really curious to read some of the comments and kind of get the pulse of the fan base of Arkansas, who has lost all of their scholarship quarterback options except for new transfer Talon Green. He came in from Boise State. This feels very similar to the Baylor situation from a couple of years ago, where
Yep.
after spring ball, Dave Aranda told Gary Buchanan, "Hey, thanks, but no thanks. We're going to go with Blake Shapen. We want to give you a chance to go find a new home." He transferred to South Florida. Shapen was not the guy that led them down the stretch, led them to a Big 12 championship game. He struggled mightily. He's since transferred out of the program, right? So Arkansas seemingly is going all in on Talon Green, who, yes, was very talented at Boise State, showed flashes, had a very good spring game, but now you've had KJ Jefferson transfer to UCF, and you just had Jacoby Criswell, who transferred from North Carolina. He's re-hit the portal looking for a starting opportunity elsewhere.
Yeah.
Dude, Arkansas is not going to be a good football team, at least the way I look at them on paper right now. And now you add to that, you are going all in on one quarterback who has not done anything more than taken a couple of introductory level spring semester courses there. That to me is my biggest worry. Losing your X factor, and pinning your hopes on the new shiny toy, especially at quarterback. That really worries me. And I think Arkansas fans should be at least nervous heading into the summer and fall off season workouts.
Look, it's a gamble, and I think the hard thing is it's showing that some of these coaches are going to have to get a little desperate, and they're going to have to say, "Look, this is my guy, and in order to keep him, I'm going to have to sell out a little bit to show that I want him." But that is going to mean that you're going to lose some people, right? Like if you're not, taking a long, drawn out, purposefully dramatic quarterback battle into the last week of fall camp, you might lose all your quarterbacks except for the one who's obviously the first teamer, right? Like that's the sad kind of part about it. And that's a sucky part about being a coach right now. But I think you're right. Like if it pays off, like if Taylor Green's a great quarterback, he can bring Arkansas up and they can win some games next year. But if he's below average, if he gets hurt, like if I'm not rooting for that, obviously, but anything can happen. It's the SEC. You play a tough schedule, and you get rolled over the wrong way on a rollout or something like that. Then you know you can very quickly turn a season, from being kind of optimistic and hey, that Taylor Green kid, he's really got something, into well, who's the backup? And wait, he's a walk on. Wait, where did he play? Wait, he's a freshman walk on. Wait, what high school did he go to? Right? You start to kind of do that number, and that's definitely not where you want to be as a Power Five or I guess Power Four program now. And yeah, I mean, it's if it works out, good for Arkansas, right? I don't know that this is necessarily what they're trying to do, but that is kind of where they've ended up. And again, they've run off some people who just weren't the guy, right? KJ Jefferson wasn't going to be the guy. They've figured that out over the last couple of years. And for the Baylor example, Shapen wasn't it. Like it didn't work, and maybe they should have gone with Bohannon, but they didn't. And now they've had to hit the portal on the other side of it, and I think they got a good one in DeQuan Finn. But to Arkansas, are we saying now that this is their version of DeQuan Finn, where they've officially hit the portal and fixed the problem, or is this going to be the commit to Shapen, and then we got to wait till the next quarterback? But it means similar to Baylor, a couple years in the wilderness.
Well, they are spending more than a couple years in the wilderness. If anyone can bring them back though and make that offense fun again, it is DeQuan Finn. If you
I'm
missed,
excited about DeQuan Finn.
yeah, if you missed the breakdown on the channel of DeQuan Finn at Baylor, go back a couple episodes. You can find a short and a YouTube video specifically about the Toledo product going down to Waco.
Gracious him! How about that?